Imagine releasing the biggest hit in the country, becoming an overnight sensation, and then just quitting. Total silence for 8 long years. This is the bizarre story of Strings and the song that refused to die.
Sar Kiye Yeh Pahar, दरियाओं की गहराइयों में तुझे ढूंढा है। आ भी जाए एक बार, मेरे यार से ना लूटो मेरे मन का करार।
Most people remember the comeback in the 2000s, but the real story goes further back than you think. It's a story of a band that survived a decade-long breakup and somehow turned 4 college-going kids into South Asian legends. How do you vanish at your peak and still become immortal? Go back to 1992 and the album is titled simply 2. Yes, just 2. At this point, the Pakistani music industry wasn't just growing, it was peaking. On one side, you had the vital signs, Junoon, Ali Haider, Sajjad Ali, Hadika Kiani, and on the other side, Nazia and Zohaib Hassan had already bagged awards. The stage was set for a massive explosion, and yet in the middle of everything, Strings chose to pull back. But before they did, they gave us this. It was stripped back, acoustic, and hauntingly poetic. And there's a reason it felt different, because the lyrics weren't written by any pop star. They were written by the legendary Anwar Maqsood. He gave the song a poetic depth that Pakistani pop desperately needed. Even the video changed the game. Instead of dancing and bright lights, this had a minimalistic feeling. Moody shots felt more like a memory than a music video. At the absolute height of that 1992 fame, Faisal Kapadia and Bilal Maqsood just stopped. They disbanded for the most obvious and normal of the reasons. Life came in the way. Yes, they wanted to finish their education and start their corporate careers. Can you imagine? For most of the 90s, the guys who wrote the biggest anthem in the country were sitting in offices doing 9 to 5. But as it turns out, the fire was still there. Even while they tried to ignore that burning desire, the song never left the airwaves. It became a nostalgic anthem for an entire generation. The mountains or the Pahar was still there, even if the climbers had gone home for a little while. And by the turn of the millennium, the silence finally broke. They returned with the album Door, but they knew Sar Kiye Yeh Pahar was still their passport. They re-recorded it, and this time it became even bigger than just a local hit. This was the MTV India era, and Strings became one of the first Pakistani bands to achieve true cross-border superstar status. It wasn't just about the Bollywood cameos, it was about their own sound. Albums like Door and Dhaani reclaimed their fire and cemented their claim to the fame in their own terms. Decades later, they reimagined the song in Coke Studio under Zohail Hayat's production.
Sar Kiye Yeh Pahar, दरियाओं की गहराइयों में तुझे ढूंढा है।
They realized that the composition wasn't just a pop tune, it could handle an entire orchestra. It proved that the strings sound sophisticated, melodic, and timeless. Wasn't just a fluke, it was a standard. And let's not forget, they eventually produced multiple seasons of Coke Studio Pakistan themselves, basically curating the sound of an entire nation and cementing their legacy even further. Strings eventually retired in 2021, ending one of the cleanest, most dignified runs in the music history. But Sar Kiye Yeh Pahar remains the mountain they climbed first, and the one they never really came down from. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if they never returned. Would Pakistani music even be where it is now? A documentary on our music history can't omit Strings. It's a massive chapter. Just like a documentary on cricket couldn't ignore Wasim Akram. But we'll come back to him separately. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite Strings song? Did you grow up with the original 92 version? Or were you there when they made the big return? Or maybe you're just nostalgic and love listening to them anyway, even if you're much younger. Let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next one.